Hey guys, Ben Rad here. Welcome back to this tutorial on using ES2 and self-resonating oscillators to create really hardcore thumping electronic dance music, kicks and snares. If you haven't watched the first video in this series, I absolutely recommend you do, because that's where I really explain what we're doing with regards to self-resonating oscillators using this FLT reset button here, and also how we can use the vector modulation as well to do some real in-depth modulation of how the sound is created and how it evolves. So I've just got this our low kick up to show you kind of where we've started from, and really just to show that the next sound, what I've done is I've really just taken this exact same sound, and you don't have to do this, you can use the original vector kick preset if you want. But I've taken the sound that we've done for the low kick and I've just copied it and pasted it into my snare channel here. The reason I've done that is just really so that, again, I can have very similar attacks, decays, and also just get a feel for the lows as well, so that we have the kick sounding relatively similar to the snare once all of the cutoffs, etc., have been fiddled around with. Let's move into what I've done to change this, however. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to solo the snare. Oopsie, I've very quickly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to solo the snare, and I'm going to show you what that sounds like. Pretty thumping, right? So what have I changed? So what you'll notice is I've opened up Oscillator 3. Now I'll put this on noise, and for the first, for the initial part of the sound, I've got the noise relatively low, then I've got that increasing all the way to the top for the sustain, and then for the release it's all gone. Now if I was to move the release of this sound down to what the kick was, this is what the snare sounds like without explaining the rest. Okay, this is really important. Just add a bit of release. Yeah, and it just adds that tail, and it just heightens everything up. It's really nice. So just to demonstrate really that fiddling around with envelope 3 does change the shape of the sound, just as you would expect from using normal oscillators, etc. So what have I done to change things? So first things first, what I've done is I have, let's start with the right hand side, which is probably unintuitive. First thing I've done, as explained in the first video, it's really important that I use this cutoff to affect essentially the frequencies of the lower end thump. So what I've done is I've increased the cutoff to make sure that those real low ends aren't as prominent, because we don't want this to have as much of a thump as the kick necessarily. What I've done is I've then moved the blend, which is essentially just mixing the levels of this kind of low side to this part of the high side, which is where we're kind of playing more around with the noise. So the blend is about 75% over to the left. And what I've done is, because I've got this noise on, I can then move the cutoff up quite high. This is in about 2 o'clock. Move the resonance down compared to where I was before to about 2 o'clock, and I'll just move the drive up as well. Let me just show you what it sounds like with the cutoff all the way up to the top. Okay, let's just move that down. Okay, so hopefully that also shows that you can start modulating this sound as well if you really want, by playing around with these things. So there are ways that you can start playing around with this sound and making it, making it whatever you want for the track. It really depends. Notice the distortion and the tone of that distortion are all the way up to the top as well. Okay, what I'm going to do is now I'm just going to show you the effects that I put on this. Just quickly, I'm going to turn off the effects just to kind of give you an idea of what this sound is like without any effects on it. So it sounds quite dull, quite lifeless. So what I've done is I've turned on distortion, drive down to 0, tone wheel to top. What that does is that helps to kind of lift and distort it very mildly, but keeping a limit on the top as well, so it doesn't necessarily peak too much. Yeah, you'll notice that that's added quite a bit. Second thing, low cut, just taking away those lower frequencies. As I said, this is a snare, we don't want it to sound and have as lower frequencies as our kick. Last thing I did, on a bus or send, I've thrown a bus on, I've used a platinum reverb, I've just fiddled around with whatever sounds good, turned that up on the send. What this is doing is this is making sure that the sound still has its dry thump, but then we've got some reverb underneath. And again, you can play around with whatever reverb you wish, whatever you think sounds good. That's about it, really. I think the last thing to show is that for every single sound I've created here, I've thrown the outputs into bus 1. What does that do? Well, it really doesn't matter. It just means that it groups them all together and they're treated as one channel. You can throw a compression on there, so it all tightens everything up. You could throw, let's do it now. Why not? Let's throw a type of reverb on there. So let's go to reverb. Let's go to space designer. Let's just use the default one. I'm not too bothered. And let's turn that send up, and now we'll have a reverb over the entire kick and the snare. And again, you can play around with the reverb as much as you want, but these are just ideas. You can do whatever you want, but hopefully you appreciate that those sounds are now really, really thumping. I've really put on very minimal levels of compression, really. They sound pretty good naturally, so I don't think I'm ever going to use a sample pack again. I really don't. I think maybe I might, if there are some really interesting snare sounds, fine, but kicks, probably not. I can create my own fantastic kicks. They can change and evolve as I see them for each track, and really that means that the track is more mine. It means that I can really justify what sounds are put in where, etc. It's a great feeling. So if you've liked the video, obviously, give me a thumbs up, subscribe, share it, do all of those things. It always helps to boost my love for the YouTube community. If you think the video's crap, just comment as well. But hopefully I've helped you. If I've helped you, then that's all I can ask for. So I've been Ben Rad. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.